Hello and welcome to the New Mindset podcast. This is Georgia.
And this is Jacob.
Amazing. How you going, Jacob?
Pretty good. Pretty good.
How would you check in on a scale from 1 to 10?
I'm checking in at a 6, I reckon.
6?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Cool. Do you have a word for that 6?
Do I have a word? I am feeling excited because we're in here we've got a designated podcast room now in the apartment.
Yeah, it feels good.
So I'm hoping that reflects in this audio, but we've got our little puppy Winston next to me chewing at a bone, so you won't be able to hear it, but I can, and he's a little annoying, but that's okay. We should be videoing the podcast shortly. What are we waiting on now? We're waiting on like armchairs because we don't really have any of those, and some proper lighting. Because Georgia referenced that the video looked early 2000s, so we will not be starting with that.
No, it was just because of having the overhead light and the front light. So we just want to make it look really groovy before filming anything.
But yeah, we got a cool background. We've got our bookshelf and we've got some little like toys on there with some books and artwork, and we've got to get a neon light like every other podcast has that's recorded visually.
The element of lighting.
But yeah, no, it's looking cool. Like that's why I'm excited.
Yeah.
How are you feeling after a big day?
Yeah, I feel good. I dipped in all of the 3 jobs in one day.
Yeah.
It was great. And now I'm back at the next job
Next job. Yes.
Well, right now.
Yeah.
I'm feeling
What's your number and word?
I'm going to feel like a sensational 7 because I just came off of 4 hours of drama teaching, which was great. And before that, did some confidence coaching, which was amazing. Before that, did my day job, which was also great today. Saw some students in-house.
That's why you're only a 7. If everything went great and perfect and wonderful.
Yeah, look, I would say a 7 because I'm slightly tired. We're doing this after all of that.
Yeah, that's fair.
So I'm slightly tired. But I'm excited for you, I guess, to share your insights about this particular topic.
Yes.
That we have tonight.
Yeah.
You've chosen how to prevent panic attacks.
Yes.
Yeah. Do you want to share why? Why this kind of topic? Why now?
Yeah, well, I feel as though now I'm properly equipped to chat about this, just with personal experience and through a bit of study. Obviously study at university, a little bit of, like, obviously psychology at uni, bit of counselling, diplomas, and just honestly personal experience. Sometimes it's tough when, you're just reading all this textbook sort of big chunks of text basically online about your own personal experience and trying to shape that text toward what you're feeling. But yeah, no, I think it's just something out there. I've read like 45% of people experience a panic attack at least once in their life. And when it's severe like you've seen mine. And there's some close people to us that also experience the panic attacks. I'm going to try my best not to say anxiety attack because it's not a proper term, but a lot of people use it and I sometimes get my language mixed up. So pull me up anytime I say that.
Aye, Captain.
Thank you. Yeah, I think even you've had a minor panic attack. But we can chat about like personal experiences later in the episode. But yeah, like this is vitally important for anyone experiencing anxiety or any stress or traumas in their life. So this is just a cool, just quick, hopefully succinct episode.
Yeah, I love it. Well, then maybe we should, in your words, define the term. Panic attacks.
Yeah, so I'm trying to panic attack. So I try to, in my own words and experiences. So bear with me here.
That's okay.
It's where the mind and body are collectively experiencing intense fear and or anxiety. Like those, they are different, but both can lead to panic attack. And a panic attack presents both in the mind and in the body.
Simultaneously?
Yeah.
Or not necessarily?
It doesn't have to be, but yeah.
They are the 2 places where it can present.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
I'd say, the through my own experience and just through understanding a few others, and research says it happens at the same time, because it's normally from the mind to the body or the body to the mind, and then But for so long, we've always thought panic attacks and anxiety, but just remember they're different, is all in the head. But obviously, on this podcast and through my own sort of experience, it's definitely the body as well. They talk about the mind-gut connection. And yeah, sorry, that was Winston. Winston, what's he doing?
No, sorry. He was just the way he was biting his bone.
Ah, okay.
He was pouncing at it. I was like, it's not moving. It's fine.
It's gone, mate. You've got it. But yeah, no. So does that make sense? Like that is what it is, all wrapped up in a little bow.
Yeah. I think so. The way in which it's you are experiencing it in the mind, but then that also physically presents as well. That makes a lot of sense.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely. It's that mind gut. Mind gut connection, and panic attacks can play a role in that too. So yeah, that's something that we'll delve into today.
Yeah. How would you say that they can be brought on? If we know what they are physically, how do they come about?
Yeah, so this was more so the research. I know how mine come on, and we'll chat about that soon, but this was more research. So a panic attack is brought on by a perceived threat rather than what is actually there.
Okay.
So I'll touch on that in a sec. Essentially, it is an irrational fear, and the fact that we do not know why we're afraid is what brings on the panic. So I'll just throw in a little personal experience here. If you're in a shopping centre and you're anxious or you're stressed and you don't know why, that can make you more stressed and anxious, because it's like it feels as though there's a lion chasing after you.
Yeah.
But there's no lion. So why is my body suddenly higher in temperature? Why is my heart beating faster? Why is my mouth dry? Like why am I feeling this? Sweaty palms, sore legs. And that's actually like the hormone adrenaline.
Yes.
So I researched it earlier today. So the adrenaline you get an influx of it and goes straight into the bloodstream.
Yeah.
And that's what brings on the heavy heart, the racing heart.
Yeah.
And it's just puts your body into high alert, like, something is going to happen here. And that's why you experience, that speedy heart or the speedy voice. And then when that sort of drops, it's like, okay, now I'm back to baseline. And it was actually interesting. You'd be interested in this. It actually increases blood sugar levels too.
Oh.
But I think you've said that with, like, obviously you're type 1 diabetic.
Yes.
And when you get stressed, you often have high levels of
Blood sugars.
Yeah, blood sugar. I remember you speaking about that, like controlling stress. If your levels were bad, and I would question, like, what's going on? You're like, well, this week's just been really stressful.
Yeah,
So I
I've
think that
noticed
can correlate.
sometimes, if I'm super stressed or if a whole entire week can be really stressful, my sugars are really high. Or they're quite resistant to the insulin that I'm putting in my body. So that's fascinating.
Yeah, so it's just fascinating how, type 1 diabetic can sort of empathize a little bit with someone that's anxious. And they're completely different parts of the body that it affects. And also trauma. I'm not really, I'm not an expert in trauma much at all. Hopefully later down the track. But trauma events can bring on panic attacks. So I would assume that that's things like, if you've been in a car accident, yes, you're highly anxious about going in the car. And if the smallest thing happens, if someone cuts you off and you swerve a little, maybe that could bring on a panic attack. Because that anxiety is so high now, and you've just got this massive, intense fear of that happening again, because you know how terrible it was.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Can I ask then?
Yep.
Because you said that panic attacks can be brought on by a perceived threat that's
An irrational
not
fear, yeah.
an irrational fear.
Yep.
You did say perceived threat, so something that's not actually there.
Yes.
So how would you categorize, if there is, like that kind of event, some kind of event that triggers a thought,
Yep.
but there was some kind of presence of that event happening, it isn't completely made up.
Is it happening or not happening? Like if someone cuts you off, that's a normal thing every day. So the irrational fear of that is they hit you or you hit them. Do you know what I mean? Like
Gotcha.
the event hasn't actually happened, but your body
But
is
it reminded you of that?
and your body's sort of in this response of it just happened or it's just about to happen.
Yeah, okay.
Like
Yep.
it's that severe. And it goes even further to that. It's like, well, am I going to die? Are my kids going to die in the back? We're going to get hit. So what have I got to do? Is everyone's seatbelts on? You know, is the car in front of me going to be okay? Who else is going to get hit if I do survive? Like, what about insurance? Is my insurance paid? You know what I mean? Like all these things just come up, and that's what brings on this panic, and that's all in the mind. And then your body is sort of representing what's in your mind through the clammy hands, the everything. If that makes sense. And then it doesn't just have to be an irrational fear, like how people in like war, they would be in constant feelings of panic.
Yeah.
And that's completely rational.
Yeah.
So I'm also referring to irrational in this sense here with anxiety, because we know anxiety more times than not is irrational. And the irrational fear, like what could happen. You know what I mean? So that's what brings that on.
Well, it's that what could or what if.
Yes.
You know, it's that kind of, it's all about in that, that thought of it's not actually happened.
Yeah.
Or it's not happening, but what if?
Like what's worst case scenario here?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that was really nicely articulated in the Inside Out 2 movie.
Which we will chat about next week. We thought we'd give everyone like an extra, we don't want to spoil anything, so we'll give everyone an extra week to watch it.
Just an extra week.
No, well, you only just watched it.
No, I know. I was just excited. And I really liked that particular example, and we can bring it up next week. But yeah, the thought of the thinking, you know, the mind racing kind of thing.
Yeah. And we thought, what did you reckon just quickly on that? Because we watched it at the drive-ins, and that was my second time, but that was your first time seeing it.
Yes.
So what do you rate it out of 10?
Loved it.
Your only complaint was it was too short.
Yeah. I was in it, and I was in the thick of it, and then it was done. Like, and I don't know whether or not that was just because it was so good that I was just invested the whole time. I my only criticism is I wish it was longer, which
is a good sign.
Yeah, that's not a bad criticism.
Yeah, I suppose because it's like there's going to be multiple of them, it's not supposed to wrap up.
Yeah, it's meant to be left open to, you know, the next one.
Yeah.
Let's just hope that it's not that far away, because it was like 2015 since the last one. Yeah, it was a long time.
Yeah.
But anyway,
anyway.
That was a really, I guess what I was trying to say and kind of loop in and segue to our next question. The mind racing, there was just a really nice visual depiction of that in Inside Out 2.
There was.
So my next one was, what are some of the ways that it can present itself? We kind of shared that, or the ways in which it can present, which you said physically was the clammy hands.
Sorry. Winston sat underneath me with his bone, and the smell was like wafting up to my nose.
Oh,
See, he's under the desk.
Yeah.
Cool. So, like how they can sort of present, you were saying, like how the anxiety can present itself?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like we already touched on earlier, it's the mental and physical of, you know, the mental and physical sides it can affect. I'll just touch on this quickly. So the mental side is the head noise.
Head noise.
Yeah, just like what I said before in that potential car accident scene, you know, insurance, kids, me, seatbelts, airbags, service, payment, car in front of me, car behind me, car next to me.
Yeah, and I think you've nicely put it as noise, because it's not the most relevant information that you're sharing, that you're thinking of at the moment.
Yep.
It's all of the thoughts that are running through. So that,
yep.
It's nicely put as noise.
Yeah, and any anxious person would 100% understand where I'm coming from there. And any stressed person, I suppose, would also. Because we're very hyper-vigilant of what's going on around us, what are our dangers, what could happen, what could go wrong. Which I normally say, it could be a positive if we harness it correctly. Like the noise is almost deafening. And time seems, this is for me anyway, don't know if anyone else can relate, but it's like slow and then it's fast all at once.
Yeah. Right.
Like time around me seems to be going fast, but me, I'm thinking like I'm slow. I'm thinking really slow, even though my head's racing.
Right.
It's hard to describe, but it's what I feel.
Yeah.
And once the panic attack is like, you know, complete, when it's done this full cycle, mine only seemed to go for a few minutes, but I know people that, 20 minutes, half an hour, it shouldn't go longer than half an hour.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just pure exhaustion. It's just complete exhaustion, physically and mentally. And yeah, that like knocks me around. That knocks me around big time.
Yeah.
Like it does for anyone experiencing that.
Yeah.
But that's the mental side of it there. And physically, like we've already touched on the heartbeat, stomach cramps are one. I get the stomach cramps and bowel stress. So like running to the bathroom is like a big thing for me
Yeah.
when the panic attack's on, which I've sort of we'll chat about that in a future episode. But that was sort of resolved through food. But breathing, obviously everyone knows that. Everyone knows to breathe. It's like being told to exercise. Everyone knows how they got to exercise. It's just doing it, which I'm really slack at with the breathing. Like it's on my list every day to do. You got to do your breathing, but
you forget about it, but it is so good.
Yeah, and like how can they present themselves? Like tics, nervous tics were a big one for me. Like my mum has them when she drives, a little thing with the mouth, a little noise.
Oh yeah.
I used to have one with my eyes and my mouth, which I will not replicate because I'm terrified they'll come
You'll
back.
go back. Yeah.
And just muscle tightness. So my back is constantly, when I'm stressed or anxious, it's constantly there.
So do you think that anyone can have and experience panic attacks?
Yeah, like we were saying before. So obviously an anxious person can. And everyone's got anxiety, so that means yes. And anyone experiencing, severe stress, elevated levels of anxiety. I'll give an example. There was, when I worked in a bank a few years ago, one of the guys, we were under such severe stress, and he actually had like a full-blown panic attack that affected his heart as well, just on the ground, like a stress heart attack. Whilst having a panic attack as well, just because of the extreme stress and circumstances we're under, which, happens all the time. Like we saw it in Suits with Harvey. You remember Harvey having his? I think his was as well. I think his was a more like a vomiting sort of panic attack, wasn't it, from memory? And sweaty palms and sweaty neck and everything. And he used to have to race into the bathroom.
Yeah.
But that's I know it's a TV show, but it's a very real representation of what happens.
Yeah.
And not just with men, but, everyone. And then recently we watched the new Bear series.
Yes.
Very good series.
Highly recommend.
Third season wasn't that great.
Yes.
But, the main actor has these sort of panic attacks, and it's in a different format than what Harvey would have had. Or what I have had, what I've described and what you've had. But look, they're all different. But yeah, anyone can have them.
Yeah. Yeah. No, those are beautiful examples. Obviously, viewer discretion advised for Bear, as we are a family-friendly podcast. There's lots of swearing and coarse language.
Coarse language.
What?
A lot of coarse language.
Coarse language. But that, especially in season 3, another beautiful representation in a really artistic way of what anxiety would feel like for an individual. And then obviously
I'm just
there's
thinking
one.
Bear. So you're saying Suits is fine.
No, Suits is another awesome representation.
Yeah, but
I'm thinking about what's going on in the
Suits.
mind.
Language in
there is
Suits.
coarse language in Suits. And I think use of drugs as well at one point. But another kind of, so Inside Out 2 and The Bear were examples of what goes on in the mind. And then Suits obviously is a good one of what happens physically. And both of them are. All three of them are. Do you feel comfortable sharing one of your experiences?
Yeah, and just quickly, if you're doing the whole viewer discretion, if anyone has a family or has kids, go and watch Inside Out too, because that's probably the best representation of anxiety and panic attacks that I've seen in a movie.
Let alone a children's movie too.
Yeah. But just in general, like every TV show I've seen, movie, book, textbook, that movie is good. But my own personal experience, so I've got obviously I've had them since 9 or 10, so I've had a few. I've racked them up over the years. But now when I get one, it's more just inconvenient. I know what it is. It's I don't get the extreme racing heart or shallow breath, thankfully, because that sounds like freaky. But mine is more so, like I said, the bowel stress, and even often like I could be physically sick, like vomiting. I've had that at sport. So when I was like playing cricket, obviously you're batting and you're on your own out there, really, and all eyes are on you. And if you've got anxiety, it's like the worst place to be.
Yeah.
And mine just overcame me one day, and while I was out there, and I was just like, yuck. But that's one. But my
What do you
first
mean,
one,
yuck?
like vomited.
Yeah.
But my first ever one was at school from memory, and I was just in the principal's office, and just I could not pick myself up off the ground. And Mum was there, and he was there, and I was just in all all sorts. But I've had family events. Like when we're at family events, I'll just walk off.
Yeah.
Like I'll just give myself space. And everyone's pretty aware now. Like I'm pretty open and honest about it.
Yeah.
And like I have little ones now, so I don't have the full blown panic attacks. But the little ones that you've sort of experienced me having is like at shopping centres or on walks, just in areas where a bathroom isn't normally present, because that's when my body sort of goes into this, worst case scenario. What happens if you need to go to the toilet because of an attack? But I'm really getting on top of that now, thankfully. That was debilitating.
Yeah.
But yeah, like those are my sort of experiences. What about, I know you've had a few, like I know you've already shared it previously, but the actual panic attack itself.
Yeah. Well, it was only like there's two big ones that I've experienced in the past little year. But one of the biggest ones was one of them was more recently when I thought that I made an error in my job, and I just was very recent in this little promotion, and I had new management team that I was working with, and I just wasn't quite sure if I was making the right decision. I kind of made a decision without getting the full permission. It was, is it, ask for forgiveness or ask for permission? So I was kind of begging for forgiveness afterwards. And I made all of these stories up in my head of how, I was going to let the team down. I was going to, be a big disappointment, that I, should have known better. I should have told the truth. I should have done this. I should have done that. And like even just saying it now, it's like all the thoughts are coming back of the things that were racing in my mind. And I remember calling you and was trying to sort myself out, and I just thought, holy smokes, like, this is what that feeling feels like. Because as someone that doesn't have social anxiety or general anxiety disorder or anything, it's so true. There is still a part of you inside that does have anxiety. Everyone experiences anxiety. You don't have to have an anxiety disorder to experience panic attacks. And that was properly real. And I felt it. And my heart was racing and my mind was racing. And it was a little scary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I remember that.
I mean, we got through, and we eventually, was made to feel a lot better. And the thing that kind of helped me was like, is this going to matter in 5 years' time?
Yeah.
5 hours' time, 5 days' time, 5 minutes' time.
So that's what sort of got you through that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, different things work for different people, I suppose, and you were able to rationalise it in that moment.
Yeah, with your help.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, it was all about bringing it back to earth.
Yeah, definitely.
Kind of thing, and away from the racing mind.
Yeah. I think being able to rationalise it's like a weapon against anxiety, to be honest.
We'll talk her to it and build its relationship, which is what you've said for the past few episodes.
Yeah, it's I relate it somewhat like, when you experience it as a teacher. And when we work with younger kids, the last thing they want to be told is just calm down.
Yeah.
And I sort of shape that to when we're older. The last thing I want to be told when I'm having a panic attack is just rationalise it.
Just breathe.
That's a slap in the face.
Yeah.
And breathing is important, and rationalising rationalizing it is important, but when you're in the midst of a panic attack, like it's already happened. Like you can't come back from it now. Like you're in it.
Yeah. So I guess maybe how can you prevent them?
How we can prevent them. Yeah, I did a little Instagram post the other day that seemed to be all right with them.
Oh, yeah.
So, but that was like,
Please share.
they're all, you know, the posts and the episodes are always mixed with personal experience, how we've helped other people, and then, you know, back to research. And combined all of them and see, you know, how do these actually sound. But this one, for me, when I saw my own psychologist, she recommended this. So research somatic therapies. So somatic therapies, we've spoken about it before, but it's more so the body rather than the mind. So how does your body, how can we basically get that in check to help you mentally?
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's like, you know, the big thing she suggested for me that we've got to do together is yoga.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to pulling a hamstring doing yoga. But I don't know. I don't like that. I don't like the I don't want yoga to be like that. Like, why can't yoga be a little more interesting rather than the generic?
We can do that.
And stretching as
like
well.
meditation.
Stretching's a big thing. So even like when you're at your desk, just doing little stretches to release the tension that your body's holding.
Yeah.
Like we're all stressed.
Shoulders, back.
Yeah, neck.
Fix your posture, crack your neck.
Yeah,
or just
things like that.
rolling it around.
And then obviously continue to build a relationship with your anxiety. And stress is always there, so we can work on stress. But if we focus on the anxiety, building a relationship with the anxiety, if that's where your panic attacks are sort of, what would I say, sort of based off. Like if your panic attacks are jumping on the back of severe anxiety, then we've got to get to the root cause of the anxiety. So let's just, while we work on getting to the root cause of it, or while you work on it, just remember to build your relationship with your anxiety. That means healthy negotiation, compassion,
Yeah.
and just an understanding that some days are better than others.
Yeah.
And then my last tip to prevent a panic attack in future is just see a professional. Hopefully on this podcast we've made it a little more, and even in society, like it's a little more, you know, acceptable to go to see a counsellor, psychologist, psychiatrist, anyone like that, your GP, friends, and just, you know, be as open and honest as you can be and get to the root cause of the anxiety. It's the only way, because everyone else has got different perspectives, especially seeing someone that's unbiased, obviously. Like, you know, you were chatting to me a lot before you went and saw a psychologist, but I sort of said, you know, I've got a bias here toward you, so whatever you sort of say, it's going to be hard for me to, you know, go against
See the
that,
other
which you
side.
need.
Yeah.
A good psychologist will always hold you accountable and see the other side of what you're actually describing, which is what they were able to do for you, which is awesome. But those are my big ones. And then obviously just be intrigued with yourself and keep learning. And it's easy to get angry with yourself, but that's not helpful for you or the actual panic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like
Do you have
that.
any that you would add?
How to prevent.
Yeah. And I think, just quickly as well, knowing what makes you anxious or what brings the panic on, just try to track that as best you can, because I know when I go into a shopping centre, I'm going to be in a sense of panic. So being able to calm myself before that. So either I've got to watch a TV show that I like, do the breathing. I do the breathing before I enter anything stressful, because you're sort of putting your body into that below baseline level of, okay, things are okay. And you're prepping, like you're sort of like before a big sport game, you know, you do your stretches and your training. That's sort of this. Before you get hit, I'm going to stretch and I'm going to be ready for it. Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you
like
reckon?
that.
Have you got a few?
I like that.
Or a few?
I mean, I don't know if these are entirely helpful. I mean, they help me
Yeah,
a little
cool.
bit more as I'm trying to understand myself more and learn about myself. One of the things that's kind of helped me is visualizing. And so giving each of the scenarios, either painting a picture for them or like something that I've just literally come up with today, I haven't even told you, was
Exciting.
the little negative person and negative voice inside my head is called Negative Nancy, as I'm sure that everyone has a Negative Nancy. But I guess what I'm saying is visualizing the thought or the feeling or the little person inside of your head, like inside out, that is generating that thought or that feeling, and trying to communicate with them directly or pop them in a seat or close the door on them to say not today, or visualizing really helped me, as well as just either in super abstract ways or very literal ways. That just helps me.
Yep.
And
I'll just jump on that quickly, and then you can.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely the visualizations. If you're a creative person, which I don't want to spoil it, so I'm not going to say anything about Inside Out 2. But if you're a visual person, a creative person, definitely that technique is awesome. That's sort of what we want to do with Mindset Minis, is give these emotions, a character, so kids and families can sort of interact with each other through that use. Like you said, negative Nancy. In that case, we could have negative narwhal. So it's like, how are you feeling today?
Narwhals are so magical, though.
Okay, well, what's another N, you reckon? What's another animal?
Numbat.
Numbat.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll roll with that. Negative numbat. But you know what I mean? Like, being able to create that background character for negative Nancy is going to be, it's awesome. And to be able to go in that land and have those characters and be able to, use that as a tool is awesome.
Yes.
What else have you got?
That animal was newt as well.
I don't know what newt is.
Newt, look it up. It's in Matilda. They're really good.
Okay.
It's an amphibian. The other one was, have I lost it? No, I've got it. Actually, and I don't know how you would experience this or feel about this too, so please rebut me if you feel as though it's not really relevant. But taking accountability for your feelings and your emotions and your experiences. Because I saw something the other day that was saying this person was kind of talking to a coach to say, this person pushed my buttons, what do I do about it? And then the coach said, it is your responsibility as the individual to not have that button exposed for someone else to press. So I don't know how, maybe that's not relevant in terms of panic attacks, but taking accountability and responsibility for the way that you experience. So just knowing, I guess, in panic attacks or in relation to the topic, that you can, although it seems super overwhelming at the time, and I'm just thinking back to the experience that I had when I felt like I was in the depths and it was never going to end, that taking a step back and saying, okay, what can I control in this situation? What is in my grasp? What is not? And just getting real and actually real, not in your head or not hypothetical. It's all, what can you really control? What can you really not control? And focusing on what you can control, which is how you're experiencing the event that's taking place.
Yeah, cool. I like that.
Relate?
Yeah, no, good.
Cool.
Yeah, the bits in it related. But definitely,
nice.
Yeah, you can control. Yeah, the one thing you can control is how you respond.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how I would sort of put that. Like accountability, having, and with bullies as well and things like that, or people that are just negative in your life, if you can't get rid of them, well, you can control what their words and output respond in you. Basically, you can deflect it and you don't have to deal with it, or you can take it on and you can feel the emotions, but it's up to you to do so.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really nicely put. Thank you very much.
That is okay. But yeah, I was happy with that. That's were you good with that? That's a good episode.
Yeah.
I like it.
Thanks.
Thank you for bearing with us with Winston in the background. Hopefully it wasn't too much. But yeah, we're looking forward to recording visually. Have you got a checkout question for me?
Yes, I do. I'm really excited for it. It's a bit abstract, but that's my dramatic ways.
Yep.
If you could be a kitchen appliance, which would you be?
Oh, that's so boring.
Hey, no, it's not. I feel like you can really discover a person.
Boring.
Well, I have mine.
Okay,
I have mine. I would be a toaster with a print that you can put on the bread.
What print?
A smiley face.
I suppose a toaster is as exciting as it gets, isn't it?
Yeah, like think about that. You put bread in it and then it gets all hot and great and then pa-ching!
All right, I'd be a kettle.
Why?
Because I'm hot. I'm joking.
Because I'm hot.
I'm joking. No. All right, I'll be a kettle.
Because you're hot?
Yeah, why not? I'll put that in there.
Why?
I don't know.
Because you're hot. Are you locking that in?
I'm not. I have been really, over the last year, I've been liking coffee. I'll go coffee machine.
Coffee machine.
Just purely on the basis that I like it.
You like it,
And when
but
you do a
can't have
checkout
it.
question next, can we make it a little like, cool?
I like that checkout question.
I rate that checkout question a 3.
Aw.
With
Fine. I'll
a
come up
Muppet
with a
show.
better one.
a Muppet show. We should do an episode with Muppets.
Stop. I'm actually teaching my kids puppetry this term.
Oh, great.
I'll sneak back some puppets.
Okay.
No, I won't. I know I won't.
Oh, what was that puppet show that we were watching on? Eric. We already discussed Eric, but that was a good puppet show. That was just a friend of mine there.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
Well,
done.
with that said, thanks everyone for joining us.
Thanks,
Look forward
guys.
to seeing you next week.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.